take all of me? Can't you see I'm no good without you? Take my lips, I want to lose them. Take my arms, I'll never use them. Your goodbyes left me with eyes that cry. How can I go on, dear, without you? You took the part that once was my heart, so why not take all of me? Why not take all of me? Can't you see I'm no good without you? Take my lips, I want to lose them. Take my arms, 'cause I'll never use them. Your goodbyes left me with eyes that cry. How can I grow dear on without you? Or you took the part that once was my heart, so why not? Oh, why not take all of me? Early one Monday morning, baby, I was on my way to school. Early one Monday morning, baby, I was on my way to school. It was early one Monday morning, baby, when you made me break my teacher's rule. I don't want no woman telling me this or that. Don't want no woman telling me this or that. That makes me mad, and you know I don't go for that. Now listen, baby, I want a big fat mama. Yeah, I want a big fat mama. I want a don't you shake my tree. If you don't like my peaches, baby, don't you shake my tree. 'Cause there are lots of other chicks who would just love to shake it around with me. Yeah, I want a big fat mama. Oh, give me a big fat mama. I want a tall, skinny mama. Oh, give me a short, short mama. I want a big fat mama with meat shaking on her bones. Work out, Mark, yeah.
Can't believe you can't get me out of this. It's so absurd I have to be here on a Saturday. It's not like I'm a defective or anything.
I'll make it up to you. Honey, ditching class to go shopping doesn't make you a defective. Have a good day.
John was really unique in that he did put the female protagonist at the center. I don't know why it isn't done more often. I mean, you know, all of the John Hughes movies that I made were all really successful. Breakfast Club and Pretty in Pink, I think, were, you know, had very, very big box office right out of the gate. I think 16 Candles sort of developed an audience later on, but
As a PCC employee, you can give automatically through MyPima payroll deductions. Here's how.
Thank you for your generosity toward the Pima Foundation. We are grateful for your support and for your help in keeping our students thriving.
On behalf of the Pima Community College Governing Board, I welcome you to All College Day and the beginning of a new school year. The college once again begins a fall semester filled with unique challenges and opportunities, but together we will empower every learner every day for every goal. As a premier community college, we are a catalyst for personal transformation, economic growth, and cultural prosperity that enriches our diverse community. I want to take a moment to commend Chancellor Lee Lambert and our faculty, staff, and administrators for overcoming extraordinary challenges with creativity and perseverance, all undertaken in service to provide the best education to our students. Thanks to you, our students will engage in a new school year in which they will feel safe, supported, and inspired to learn, so they can pursue their dreams and help build a more equitable society. I want to especially thank everyone at Pima who helped educate the people of Pima County regarding Proposition 481. Through their overwhelming approval of the proposition in November, voters recognized Pima's critical role in educating the learners who will drive the revitalization of Southern Arizona's economy. In closing, I want to recognize College Events and PCC TV teams for creating what promises to be a unique opportunity to hear new ideas and reconnect with old colleagues. Again, thank you for making Pima a premier community college, and I wish you the best for the new school year.
Welcome to this year's Virtual All College Day. Bienvenidos a todos. I'm Dr. Dolores Duran Cerda, Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, and this year's host for this event. As much as we wanted to be together in person this year, it was important for us to keep everyone safe and healthy. So here we are together once again, virtually. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that today's event is being held on the ancestral lands of the Tohono O'odham Nation and the Pasquayaqui tribe, and that all of the college's facilities are located on ancestral lands of the indigenous peoples of our region. Today you'll hear from the President of the Higher Learning Commission, Dr. Barbara Gellman-Danley, reflecting this year's theme, Empowered Together, Every Learner, Every Day. If you have questions, please use the chat feature off to the side and someone will answer your question as soon as possible. Before we get started, I wanted to share two exciting updates. The first is the Unteaching and Unlearning Summit. You may wonder, what is an Unteaching and Unlearning Summit? Well, the intent for these terms is to look deeply into our current practices of teaching and learning, to see what we might deconstruct, rethink, and reconstruct so we strengthen our teaching and learning, as we are all learners and teachers throughout our lives. This process invites us to look into our commonly held beliefs and practices so that we can discard those which cause barriers and harm. From there, we can co-construct new, empowering beliefs and practices that allow us to imagine a world beyond the one we now see. So we encourage you to participate in the college's first ever Unteaching and Unlearning Summit. This will provide an opportunity for students, faculty, staff, and administrators to listen, share, collaborate, heal, feel, think, process, understand, and work to solve problems. Workshops related to social justice, anti-racism, diversifying gender-centric professions, the emotional labor of leading from the margins, cultural and mental health awareness, and other topics will be offered by students, staff, faculty, and administrators. In fact, the Chancellor, Dr. Doré, and I will be participating in a flipped panel that will give us the opportunity to ask questions to all of you and to collect your perspectives on topics that impact all of us. The summit will take place on September 8th, 9th, and 10th. The second update is the ASTIC Resource Center and Food Pantry Payroll Deduction and Raffle. The ASTIC Resource Center and Food Pantry is holding a raffle for all employees who pledge a minimum of $5 per pay period through the Employee Payroll Deduction Program during the month of August. Prizes include gift cards, museum tickets, and more. The ARC needs employee support to serve an increasing number of PCC students. Without payroll support, we will have to limit what we are able to provide to our students. To donate to the ARC and enter the raffle, please visit the ASTIC Resource Center website and click on the Volunteer Donate button for quick step-by-step sign-up instructions. It takes less than 5 minutes. Thank you for supporting the ARC and our PIMA students. And now, I encourage you to get your favorite morning beverage. I have my cafecito here. Get some breakfast and sit back and enjoy PIMA's Got Talent video. Let's take it away.
Would you rather be somewhere else?
Yes, on a PIMA campus.
The Lord bless you and keep you.
That's the quadratic formula. Sit.
Crazy.
Okay, I guess we'll see everyone on campus.
That's a fact, says Jeff.
Wasn't that a great video? Thank you for sharing your and your pet's talents with us. At this time, I am honored to introduce Dr. Barbara Gellman-Danley. Dr. Gellman-Danley is the president of the Higher Learning Commission. Prior to joining the HLC, Dr. Gellman-Danley was the president of the University of Rio Grande Community College, from 2009 to 2014. She has also served as a vice chancellor at the Ohio Board of Regents, president at Antioch University McGregor, vice president at Monroe Community College, and vice chancellor at the Oklahoma State Regents for Higher Education. Her past involvement with the HLC includes serving as a peer reviewer for 10 years. Dr. Gellman-Danley.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I appreciate the introduction, and I certainly enjoyed the talent video. I'm a big America's Got Talent fan. It's terrific to see all of you here today. I have my chat open. I'll keep glancing at it as we speak. I was asked to speak about the trends and the future of higher education. Some of you may have had an opportunity to take a look at the video or might have even been in attendance from our annual conference. I'm going to walk through those, talk about our strategic plan, and then move forward on the different trends. So if we could put the PowerPoint up now, that would be great. Thank you, Libby. So let's go to the 2001 trends. It's been an unbelievable year. So we can move to the next slide on trends. This year has been one that is absolutely abnormal in the fact that we've had so many individuals impacted by the pandemic and the kinds of things going on at that time. And I don't know if it's possible to put my video up, but I always like to kind of be looking at the audience as well while we're talking. So I just wanted to say that. So moving on to the specific trends, the first trend that comes up, the next slide, please, Libby, is finance. Now, I want to tell you that all of our trends are listed on our website if you just put in Trends 2021. But let me walk through this and talk about how this might impact your institution and your work. And I don't want these to be depressing because with every challenge, there are opportunities. But we all know it's been a very difficult year. The general enrollment is going down at many institutions. I'm still trying to figure out exactly why that was the case with a lot of community colleges. I imagine it's because people, if they were out of work, they just simply couldn't even afford the more reasonable rates at community colleges. They are facing, our colleges, more challenges with philanthropic donations, which aligns with people questioning the value of higher education as a whole. The programs are being eliminated, sometimes programs that are not financially viable, and sometimes programs that are as far as the institution, but perhaps not for the students. And of course, we should always think of the students first. Students are increasingly taking a gap year after high school, and this was particularly true when it came to the last year with the pandemic. Individuals were very confused about, do I want to start at a campus in a situation where we have an opportunity to just sit in a dorm room and watch a video? I have a friend whose son was at NYU in New York, and the tuition there is quite high. And in those circumstances, they were paying $80,000 a year for their son to sit in a dorm room and take most of his classes remotely. That's not the great way for a freshman to start a year. And it's certainly not a great way for a freshman, as you might have it at a large and impressive community college, where this might be the first generation student, and they're trying to navigate the difficult challenges of higher education. There's a rise in mega universities that are increasing the competition, large universities, and you have them in your own state, public and private. There is a push about concern about the financial impact of the pandemic in general, just to make the campuses safe. It costs millions, billions of dollars overall in the country. And therefore, where is that money coming from your normal budget? How much support did you get from the state, et cetera? Which leads to another part, state disinvestment. It's all over the map. You had a rough time a few years ago with state investment, and that can happen at any point. The discussion about free college depends on a lot of investment from the states, and we're not sure that all of them will be able to accommodate that. So tuition's being adjusted. Some institutions are lowering their tuition in order to bring in more students, but overall, they end up not being able to sustain the campus and the support services. Just one more time, if anybody can hear me, it would be nice if I could be seen as well. If I can't, that's fine. somewhere in the chat, I'm going to go to the chat. Maybe you could tell me if that's going to come up. Now, when it comes to, let's go to the next trend. We'll move off of finances and let's talk about teaching, learning, and enrollment. Well, there is a rise in adult learners, and I've spent many years in community colleges. Yes, I was in private universities as well, but I know that there are many, many adult learners that come to campus. You have an advantage with any experience you have in that over institutions that do not, because this is the increasing audience. And it was a few years ago that the largest percentage of any freshman class averaged across the country were actually adult learners. They were over 50%. The edifice complex is really emphasized now. This is something that a term that's been used for a number of years related to, we have to have another building. Let's build another building. We have a donor we want to name a building after, etc. When in effect, it can be that you don't need another building. You need better technology and working smarter, not necessarily harder when it comes to building new buildings. You might renovate the ones you have. Well, in the pandemic, we found that we could adapt as higher education, and we were a lot more nimble than people might think as far as moving toward a very good delivery of online learning. And in the beginning, the federal government gave waivers to institutions about what it would take to do that. And eventually the accreditors stepped in and said, we want you to get our full approval, because online learning in an emergency is one thing, but over time we want and expect, and I'm sure you do too, high quality. There were a lot of displaced workers during the pandemic, and this impacted them coming back to institutions and the entire teaching, learning, and enrollment environment. Some did not have access, as you well know, in particular where you're speaking from now in other areas. There's no guarantee of great internet capabilities. And many students, I'm sure you read about this and you might have experienced it personally, were going into parking lots where it was large shopping centers or something where they could pick up an internet connection in order to be on their classes. And it's a matter of also, did they have laptops? Were they provided laptops by the institution? We cannot assume that those things were available to all the students during the pandemic. The rise of what is called in loco parentis happened, which means an institution and ultimately the faculty and advisors become more parental because of the mental stress and kinds of things going on with our students during the pandemic, and they will continue. So the pivot from traditional teaching to online learning was huge, and also working from home. We found out that it is doable. And in fact, it works so well at the situation at the Higher Learning Commission that we were shocked. We had a practice day to see how technology could work on March 13th, Friday the 13th. That practice day turned into what is now 15 months plus. So we're in a situation where none of us could have anticipated this kind of situation, but we managed to make it work. And now with everything that's going on, I'm sure all of you are thinking about what might happen with the Delta variant, other kinds of things. But teaching, learning, and enrollment is just not related to the pandemic. Students are more demanding than they've ever been before, especially adult learners who have walked the talk and worked in the world. They're not interested in a faculty member who is speaking only philosophically or from a scholarly perspective. That's critically important, but they want to hear the practical experience. And that's an area where community colleges excel. So the pressure on faculty and on teaching has been enormous this past year. You know, the public is demanding more as far as the value and what's coming out of higher education and the outcomes of higher education. So hearts out to the faculty, because you've done an amazing job in moving forth through this period of time. And again, if anybody wants to comment on anything I'm talking about in the chat, I am looking at it at the same time and will be glad to address your comments. So let's talk about some of the other things in teaching and enrollment. Despite all the challenges, I think the most important thing I want to say is we got through this year, And if we can get through this year the way we did, I'm quite sure higher education can sustain for the future, but it cannot sustain on the current model. There are too many things going on in the world that are forcing us to change. And I remember years ago when distance learning came into place, and I worked at a community college, I said, I built my career on self-defense. One, I'm defending community colleges within a university system that I should not have to do. They're fabulous. We're doing great things. Why are there challenges with transfer? Some of those things still continue. They've gotten much better. And then I got involved in distance learning a number of years ago while I was at a community college back in the 1970s, the late 70s, early 80s. So long time ago, different kinds of distance learning. People were saying, that's no good. That's no good. I fear for faculty who are thrown into it who have not done distance learning before, because that's not the way to become enamored with it and see the possibility. So give it a chance over time. Face-to-face learning is fabulous if we can have it, but every student learns differently. And I know from my own experience, because I keep going back to school, that a full-time worker has difficulty taking something if they have to physically be present. And being able to have online, whether it's synchronous and especially asynchronous, can be very helpful to the learners to achieve their goals. So let's move on to the next discussion about leadership in a time of crisis. Thank you, Libby. Leadership in a time of crisis really came out as very tantamount to the success of institutions. At the HLC annual conference this year, I ran a session I brought in experts on crisis management. Institutional leaders that did not have experience or training in crisis management across the board with the leadership team at all levels were not as well prepared as those who had crisis management training. And I learned this years ago at what is now called Oklahoma City Community College, in my very first job, that anything can happen at any time. There can be reputational issues, there can be tornadoes. There can be a crisis on the campus where there's some internal disagreements, there can be floods, and there can be a pandemic. And by having training, it gives the leaders a chance to go right to the template and say, this is what happened, who are we involving, what are the next steps? I was grateful that I had requested leadership training for folks in charge at HLC. We were ready. So those leaders that really had that training did not, believe me, it was very challenging and difficult, but they didn't kind of freak out as much because they knew, okay, let's breathe. This is a horrible thing, but let's figure out how we can move through it. And I know how to do that. I don't criticize folks who didn't have that training. I learned a long time ago when Hurricane Katrina came through. I attended a session at a conference, American Council on Education, and they had the Louisiana, New Orleans universities within a certain range and community college presidents talking. And they said, no matter how much training we got, you couldn't possibly have enough for the circumstance of a hurricane. For example, one of the institutions had a really great plan to go to satellite phones instead of regular iPhones, Samsung, etc. And the satellite phones could not work because the satellite dishes were covered in water. So no matter what, something is going to come up, but it's best to be trained. I would say strategic visioning is really important in any time. And at a time of crisis, it's not the pandemic. Higher education is in a time of crisis. People are questioning the value, et cetera. And I think it's fair for us to say we have to make sure we keep our eye on that and kill the myths and do our best, obviously. But strategic visioning is very important from leaders. There's a new role at some institutions in leadership with such titles as Chief Transformation Officer. We have an individual doing that with me at HLC. And so the idea of one of you asking your questions about innovation and what do we see for the future? Well, we see everything that is a solution and an option to coming out of these different trends that I'm talking about. And transformation is something that is critically important, not to change just to change, not to do a project or to take a grant just to do it, to compete, but to do it for the sake of the students. There is a resilience skill set that is needed for leaders. You have to be tough. And I'm not talking about just positional leaders like deans and chancellors, presidents, vice provosts, et cetera. I'm talking about chairs and people who have opinion leadership and people follow you, et cetera. You have to have a sense of resilience. I always say to people that if you're having a bad day, mental health wise, if you're frustrated, maybe don't come into the office, because you need to be strong. You need to be perceived as strong and transparent and open. And that's very important for leadership. Partnering with other stakeholders is critically important. I'm certain you did that within the PIMA community. It's you might have read in the Chronicle of Higher Ed, Inside Higher Ed, and other publications that many town-gown relationships were strained. On the one hand, the surrounding communities really wanted people to come in to the campuses so that they would have the business that sustains them during the period of an institution being open full time. On the other hand, they did not want the pandemic spread because of students, because let's be honest, you cannot tell a student not to gather. I think of my undergraduate years, and I never would have listened to a word of that, and I should have. But the point is, if you're 18 to 22-year-olds, you feel invincible. So that was a challenge, and having good relations with your town made it critically important during this time, and always will in the future. During times of crisis, and at any time, leaders need to seek help of others. We cannot know everything. I remember when I was 28 years old working at Oklahoma City Community College, and I was very excited about distance learning. And I had a dean challenging distance learning and saying he would never do it, et cetera. And I remember being pretty assertive with him about the value of it. And afterward, the president said to me, you know, you really can't push deans like that. You've got to watch how you manage that. And instead of being offended, I had this great teachable moment that I don't know everything. And leaders have to have that. You have to be well aware you don't know everything, surround yourself with the best people, and create a good atmosphere for success. So over the past few decades, the role of leadership in community colleges has become very challenging. And you've seen it at your institution. The bottom line is a lot of individuals that might have set their career to step up to be college presidents are reconsidering it. There's political polarization. It's very challenging. Whatever decision is made, 50% will like it and 50% will not. So it takes a tough individual to deal with it. But I can tell you, for any of you thinking about doing it in the future, any leadership role, there's nothing like graduation and watching the look on students' faces to make up for the challenges you face during the year. So it's very important. And let's move on now to community, culture, and engagement. Community used to be that we would say in the community college word, community is our middle name. Now, many folks have adjusted their titles, so it's harder to say that. But the community focus is the pride, heart, and history of our community colleges in this country. And there is a natural inclination of students to gather in the community and be part of that. And you want that to be positive. It seems like we hear more about the football games where somebody got excited and burned up a bunch of cars after, which is totally inappropriate after a big national championship. We need to hear more, and we have recently, about the wonderful things our institutions are doing in the community. We did a collection of videos for our annual conference at the Higher Learning Commission, and we had opportunities to collect videos of what institutions did over the past year. So from March to the next March in order for our April conference. And during that time, we showed examples of food banks and nursing programs reaching out to give vaccinations, et cetera. And I would say that ongoing kind of interaction with your community is critically important for their support and for student learning, co-ops, internships, et cetera, apprenticeships. The efforts of institutions to help during the pandemic really represents the heart of higher education. And so we looked at how did these trends impact how we move forward in the future. And you'll see one of the words is engagement, and that comes up specifically in our strategic plan. The next area I want to talk about is social equity and outrage. Clearly, there were two pandemics going on at this time, and they continue, sadly, both of them. One, the pandemic that was a health pandemic, and the other is the continued challenges for equity, fairness, and the outrage against being discriminated against, being spoken to, worked with, not being included. Diversity is an important thing for an institution. Equity is an important thing for an institution. But bringing in a diverse and equitable faculty and student body will not work if they are not equally included. So all of those things have become issues that have been very challenging. And we know it was very painful, for example, for many of our tribal colleges during this time to have the assets to deal with the pandemic. And equity also means access to higher education. We never want the open access agenda of community colleges threatened by any federal regulations that could limit that by requiring particular standards be met at the same level of selective private universities, for example. So this was really important. There were assaults on democracy in itself, as you all know, this past year. But the political polarization also impacted free speech in higher education. We need to hear from all groups, whether we agree with them or not. We need to be open to listen. So these are the kinds of things that we're putting higher education in the foreground and continue even today in one of our national publications about, do you allow a speaker on campus? Do you not allow a speaker on campus? So naturally, all of this really caused a lot of challenges in the past year. The next area I want to talk about are students, faculty, and broken traditions. More than ever, there is a national discussion about the value of shared governance and tenure and those kinds of issues. Clearly, these are decisions that should happen in the academy at the institutions and not be influenced from the outside. And it's very difficult. You have individuals who join boards, and I'm not just saying your board, boards across the country who say, let's get rid of tenure. We don't get to keep people long-term at our corporations, our businesses, et cetera, if they come from that kind of environment. And what is this shared governance thing? And is it really working? This is a decision for institutions to deal with honestly, candidly, and positively on your campuses. But outsiders, people outside of higher education, have never understood that, never understood it with K through 12. Here you have such an important group of individuals teaching in K through 12 who do not get paid anywhere near what they need to be. And yet you have a lot of people criticizing just about everything that they do, which is to take care of those students and children of the individuals who might be the critical ones. So what we found this year is that I will never teach online became a broken tradition because it wasn't an option. And you have now a choice to say, does it work for this program? The kinds of students who enroll in this program, what outreach might that provide, et cetera, versus just saying, I will never do it again. So many things change. Credentials change. Some of you ask about what's the role of credentials and non-credit and credit. It's very true that it's a very changing landscape, and the Higher Learning Commission is looking at how we fit into that. So let's go to the next area. And the next area is mental health and trauma. As we know, it's been very, very difficult for our institutions, that our students are frustrated. Our faculty have had a very difficult year. But I want to talk about leaders for a moment. I would say cut a little slack for all of you, because it's been a difficult time to fit any of those roles, the students, the faculty, and leadership in these times. We are learning a lot about Maslow's need hierarchy, if you're familiar with that. And the bottom is safety and security, and that involves health. and you don't get to the highest point of the pyramid, self-actualization, until you actually feel secure and safe. And this has been a time, for many reasons, for both pandemics, individuals are not feeling safe. And so that is a matter of now, what does this mean? And I'll move on now for accreditation. And it means a lot for accreditation. We have spent, I can't tell you how much time, looking at all of these trends, and it led to our strategic plan. So let me go to the next area and talk about how we put our plan together. The way we put our plan together was very membership driven. We had internal surveys. We asked many people on your campus, responded. It's always anonymous, but we know it comes from a community college in Arizona, those kinds of things, but we don't know who's responding. And they're very honest responses about what's working in the internal environment at HLC. How are we doing with you? And the external environment. We did extensive research on trends, as you've already seen, had ongoing discussions and listening sessions. It's very important in a strategic plan when you're gathering the information to then pause and say, so what? What does this mean for our institution? And the next slide talks about the fact that we ask you to do that, to pause. And I've done a lot of, strategic planning in my career. And I think it's critically important for campuses, departments, executive, and board discussions to pause and have these good intellectual yet practical discussions about, all right, say, for example, what I just said, here are all the trends going on. So what? What does that mean for us? We think it's critically important to develop goals and key performance indicators, metrics that you can measure to say you've reached the goals that you are setting through your strategic plan. And always involve your stakeholders. So with that, I'd like to move on to how we did our plan. We took that approach and we talked about the critical part of being informed of these trends. And we had very good discussions about the trends. And then we developed a new plan based on the trends. And we're going to go to that now. And that plan, which some of you know, is called Evolve. And I want to tell you how we came up with the term evolve. If any of you saw the movie It's a Beautiful Mind, where Russell Crowe was looking at a newspaper and supposedly words were jumping out at him, I took all the trends, thousands of, input pages, etc., and certain things came out of that form the 6 tenets of evolve, and it made it easy to come up with the acronym. So let's go to taking a look at what that stands for: equity, vision, outcomes, leadership, value, and one dropped off for some reason, engagement. So we'll go to the next one, equity. Equity is critically important for all kinds of reasons. We move this to our #1 trend. And what does that mean for accreditation? That means that we will look at institutions, and it's in our criteria to make sure there's equitable access and equitable treatment for students and equity programs on campus, etc. The next trend is about vision. And our vision includes, and you can find all of this online, a new mission statement, a new vision statement, and 12 tenets under the vision statement. And it answers many of the questions that you ask, and I will respond to briefly after my presentation. Outcomes. Outcomes is next, and we are getting increased pressure from the federal government, and we believe there are ways to make this work for all types of institutions. What do your students get? What is the value of the higher education? What are the outcomes on their completion rates, on their job placement, etc.? So we're looking at everything related to outcomes. The next area we're looking at is leadership. And leadership is critically important, as I've already mentioned. There are 2 parts of leadership: thought leadership for HLC. What can we do to provide thought leadership, not just in accreditation, but in higher education? And what about leadership across the country and across our institutions? Now let's go to the next one, value. Value has 2 parts: value of higher education and value of membership. In our first plan, we use the term value to members. We carried this forth in this plan because our members, you, matter a great deal to us. And while we do have to impose the federal compliance regulations and make sure that you're following them, and our standards to make sure that you're following them, We also, excuse me, are constantly looking at what kinds of training, conferences, et cetera, we're doing to provide value to our members. And then the final part of Evolve is engagement. And engagement has a few parts. That includes working with our communities, engaging with our stakeholders, advocacy at the federal level, and civic engagement, civic learning, which we think is critically important for our institutions to be very involved in, and we support those initiatives. So to that end, now let's move to what I think the future of higher education might be. Today, more than ever, colleges and universities need to work closely with accreditors to find the balance of quality assurance and innovation, and look at the competition because it's growing exponentially. And think of accreditor as so much more than federal financial aid. We're there to help move the needle on higher education to a strong future. So what does this mean for Pima? For Pima Community College, we want you to take the trends and take a good look at this and the various stakeholders and say, you know, what are the implications of these trends for Pima Community College? I realize you have a strategic plan. These are dynamic, ongoing discussions, and they could help with your next plan. This applies from the course level to programs to support service to community outreach. So for example, let's take one or two of the trends and say, what would this mean? And let's go to the next one. The next slide, please. Take the finance one. What's your current financial state? What is the local support? What about donors, grants, foundations? What needs to be done to counter any decrease? How can you demonstrate to funders a return on investment for higher education? Are there partnerships, job placement, et cetera, that matter? Let's go on to the next one. Teaching, learning, and enrollment changes. So what's the average age for your students over the past 5 years? What kind of trends have you seen in enrollment? Internally, what's being done to respond to any such changes? Are there programs specifically tailored to this age group that will need to change or adapt? And how will this impact finances? Next one, please. Community culture and engagement. If you're looking at the trends, what's the relationship with your community? What's going well? What's not going well? I happen to know you have a very active community interested in Pima. The trends imply changes in culture at institutions. So what are your values, your vision, your strategies that will help Pima succeed? How did the community and Pima Community College move through the past 18 months of the pandemic? What lessons were learned? How can some of these lessons create a path to the future? And continuing from all the trends, there's only one stakeholder that matters, students. One of you asked, and we can discuss, you know, what are the 3 focuses that we should have for higher education? I can't help but say students, 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 and then we can expand on that. How can you respond to trends in the best interests of the students? And in some cases, they might not think it's their best interest, but you know it is. If a vision requires funding, what are some of the sources? Are there culture patterns or behaviors that hinder success? What strategies can overcome these challenges? And what is your individual role with that? The vision for the future would suggest you can imagine what could Pima become on the positive side 5 years from now. Let's say you were selected as the premier community college in the country. What would that look like? How can you get there? Accreditation is based on evidence. When you come to us, we need evidence. It's not aspirations like we plan to, or in some cases, we just hired somebody to look over assessment. How will you be transparent in your work and involve all stakeholders in reaching the success? And what's the ultimate impact on your students? We can go on. The future role of Pima, we recognize the unique and important roles of the various institutions, our community colleges, and certainly I have a good bias on this, are so important to the local communities, the nation, and our country. So at this point, we can momentarily put up a slide. This one says, the best way to predict the future is to create it. Peter Drucker. And then going on, you can find our trends online. Trends 2021 at our website, hlcommission.org, and you can find the Evolve Strategic Plan. And it's actually 2025. I don't know why I typed it in that way, but nevertheless, if you just put Evolve 2025, because it's a 5-year plan, it will come up. And you can reach me if you have any questions. I have my email here. And now if we could take the slides down and I could come up on video, I'd like to answer any questions that you pose for me.
Good morning. I'm Libby Howell, and I am from External Relations, and I'm going to help Dr. Gellman-Danley wade through some of the questions that you all submitted for her. So our first question that we'd like to call your attention to is, what strategies can you recommend for a college that is facing complex challenges that may impact accreditation for reasons that are out of the control of the college and its leadership?
So I'm going to share from the AA Creed, which is the Serenity Prayer, which is basically you've got to recognize what you can control and what you cannot, and let everything else play itself out. They say it very eloquently. I'm just translating. In that case, I would ask you to start looking at what you can control internally first. And I think it's important for me just to say that. Then anything you do on campus, any distractions that aren't focusing on students are going to cause you great problems. And so working well together and focusing on students and doing the good work that you are and can do is most important. How do you control the external forces? The perception that it's not worth it. Higher education's not worth it. It's not as impactful on the community colleges, but it's impactful in some ways. How can you control the fact that a few years ago, Arizona just took everybody out of the budget and out of the legislation for a while? Those are the things that require really good communication and really good relationships. How do you control a pandemic? Well, as we suggested, no one can control a pandemic. How do you control your reaction to something like that? You're prepared. You have crisis management training across the institution. You anticipate things that could happen. You study the trends and you say, how would we respond to them? So really the things that are uncontrollable can be influenced. And so I don't want you to ever feel that this is completely beyond my control. There are cases where you could divide your legislature and the institution will get hurt. You have to be united, you have to be proactive, and you have to always give students a voice to be heard, because students can tell the best story about the difference you've made in their lives. So one, take a look at what you can control internally first, and then be prepared and ready and proactive, not reactive to those things that come from the outside.
Okay, great. Our next question. What approaches would you suggest for addressing public perceptions about the value of higher education? And what role, if any, do you see accreditors can play in addressing those perceptions?
Well, we do. I'll take the second part first, if I might. We do constantly advocate in DC, and we have very good relations with our states. In that case, we speak on behalf of higher education on a regular basis. And when we get pushback, we push back in a different way, in a positive way. As far as PIMA, the best way you can show the value is to actually keep performance indicators and metrics, and I'm sure you do, that say, here are the students coming in, here are how many who completed, here are how many who transferred, because community colleges have often been disadvantaged on completion rates because initially at the federal government for decades, it didn't include the actual transfer. And you have many students who transfer from your institutions, and you should get credit that that is a positive thing. So keeping an eye on all of that, but stories, you did your AGT, PIMA, America's Got Talent at PIMA, PGT. In that case, a student speaking on behalf of the change you made in their lives is about the best argument you can make. Somebody taught me a long time ago, who had been both the state and federal legislator, that legislators do not like sad tales. So for example, if you go and you say, if you do this to us, all these horrible things could happen. It's better to package that as, understand you've got a tight budget. I want to tell you, if you put back this amount, all the good things that would happen. So present it in a very positive way. But a student sitting up there, if you think of your Phi Theta Kappa moments, any honor society kinds of acknowledgments, that's a really tearful, wonderful moment, because those students are talking about all the challenges they've had in their lives and what a difference it made to grow through their experience with your college. I think that's the absolute best way to make the point. And also listen to the complaints that are coming in and say, maybe we need to adapt some.
Great. Next question. How do you think the ability of institutions to select an accreditor outside traditional geographic boundaries will impact how the HLC will operate?
Well, I'm not sure there'll be a lot of movement, but I can tell you this, what HLC is doing, and I'm not speaking about any other accreditor, is we actually have a person responsible for business development. And we are, like you, first looking at retention versus additional institutions coming to us. We are prepared to take additional institutions, and we have several inquiries. But we are going to very much look at what do our members think is working and what do they not, and how can we respond to it. So you keep in mind, and I remember when I was a university president and a college president, somebody would bring me something and they'd say, I want to add 3 more faculty. And I'd say, okay, now I have a 5-year trend that your enrollment's going down. So I'm trying to understand how I could, manage adding faculty and what would that mean? And your retention rates are low. And so you look at both retaining institutions by doing a good job, and you look at what other institutions fit. For that, institutions are welcome from all 50 states to go through our eligibility process. And for institutions that are currently with a formerly known as regional accreditor, there's an accelerated path. So we are prepared, and this is just bylaws that recently changed as a result of the regulations. But we fully recognize that changing accreditors can be a costly and difficult situation. We want to make sure that first and foremost, it seems to me the best thing we can do is remain to be a gold standard accreditor and do our jobs the best we can. And what our members seem to like the most are the relationship with their liaisons. In your case, Bruce Moses working with Karen Solomon at our institution, our training, which is extensive in a variety of areas, assessment, completion, et cetera, and there'll be other academies coming forth. And our annual conference usually gets rave reviews. I don't mind saying that. And we did it virtually, and we got enormously positive feedback about how well we made that work. There were chats going on the entire time. We were all responding. And we had not less, but 600 more attendees attend. So we had 4,600 attendees at our conference this year without a single blip in the technology, because our folks went for training, we engaged a proper firm to help us, et cetera. And then we had some wonderful speakers, and we're working on our conference for next year, and we always encourage your engagement. So we heard what people said after the conference, and that's how we respond to the challenges of competition. We heard that there were people who could attend that otherwise the institution could not afford to have them attend. And so we're looking at a hybrid situation where we have an in-person conference, and some of the sessions will be available online. So that's how we intend to respond to the changing landscape to be our best for our members.
Dr. Gellman-Danley, do you anticipate that Udemy, Coursera, and other similar entities might someday be accredited?
Yeah, I wouldn't use the term accredited because they don't usually want to have the burden of being tied to the federal government and the federal financial aid issues. But we are definitely looking at, is there a branch, a part of HLC that could look at a quality assurance of certain credentials that are offered outside of higher education, either in partnership by a contractual arrangement with an institution or separately. And we certainly do not know yet if institutions are interested in that or the companies that are offering these kinds of things. But we think there's a role to be similar to like a Consumer Report, Better Business Bureau, where we at HLC would say, hey, it's not tied to accreditation, so it's not tied to financial aid. We're going to adapt the kinds of things we look at to you so we can say that you get the gold star. And I think that could be extremely valuable to the credential world.
Okay, I think we have time for one last question. So let's direct your attention specifically to Evolve, to your strategic plan. This individual asks, in the outcomes section of Evolve, HLC's 2025 strategic plan, under item number 4, an action step is listed that mentions the HLC's potential role in assuring the quality of non-traditional credentials. Can you provide us with your early thoughts about how the HLC might approach that topic?
Well, we have that in our change, mission, and vision statement, and we'll take it to the fact that the fact is now, and you all know this, that a degree is not the only credential. And there's a big national movement for stackable certificates or certification if it's tied to a field that has certification. And yes, we are going to be very involved in that. So I happen to serve on a board of what's called the Credential Engine, and that is a group trying to gather such a task, all credentials that are offered in the country, not just degrees. So it'll have degrees in there, but it would also have Coursera kinds of things, Khan Academy, et cetera. And our Straighter Line, that does a wonderful job with general education, working with institutions. So we will definitely have a role in that, but that also ties into our equity access situation. And that is that if a student can access learning and have a good result through credentials, then we have to figure out our role in that. And they might be non-degree, but they also might be not for credit. And what does that mean for online learning and lifelong learning? And think of all of you who already have the credentials to be working in higher education. I certainly hope you're not done learning. And it may not be another degree that you want or need. It may be just a credential. So yes, we do think that's part of our work. And we think it's very much part of the equity agenda as well.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing your time and expertise with us this morning.
My pleasure, and good luck on the rest of your day.
Thank you. Dolores, back to you.
Thank you, Libby. Thank you, Dr. Gellman-Danley, for your insightful remarks and for sharing the strategic plan and trends in higher education with us. Now I'd like to introduce our Chancellor, Lee Lambert. Chancellor?
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the start of a new academic year. Dolores, I want to thank you for being the mistress of ceremonies, and I also want to thank Barbara for her wonderful presentation about the trends and the Evolve plan of the HLC. What I'd like to do this morning is talk about COVID and beyond and the big shift 2.0, and I'll get into what all that means here shortly. But I really want to first say thank you to each and every one of you for what you have done together over the last 18 months. We have weathered the most serious crisis of our modern times, and we've done it together, and we still have more to do, but it's going to look a lot different than what we had gone through leading up to this point in time, and I'll say a little more about that here shortly. But as you know, I always like to talk about our students. And so Shane came to Pima Community College just a few short years ago after having served in the Marine Corps. And prior to that, he grew up here in Tucson, graduated from a local high school, and then joined the service. And while in service, he was providing service, not just military service, but helping to rebuild a community in Okinawa. But then when he came to Pima, he came with his hopes, dreams, and aspirations and goals. now ultimately to go on to law school. And while here, he received great support from our faculty. One of our faculty members wrote him a great letter of support, which ultimately, among other things, led him to be involved in some prestigious work with our Arizona State Legislature. So I just want to say hats off to all our faculty who supported Shane's success, all our staff who supported Shane's success. We're just so fortunate that we have high caliber students like Shane who really look to us to help them get to the next level. Also, I want to just say just a few words about Kyla. Kyla is a fine example of true grit and perseverance. As a single mother, she moved here to Tucson from Phoenix, where she graduated high school in the Phoenix area. And during the COVID, she was pregnant and gave birth to her daughter. And unfortunately, there were some complications during that process for her. And while she was in the hospital, Kyla managed to finish her courses in order that she could graduate. And the only pieces that she had to complete were her internship components, and she was pursuing a vet tech program with us. And so I wanted to just say thank you to the faculty, to the staff, and the administrators who helped support her success. And so we're just so fortunate to have these students who really look to us and to have a great faculty and staff of students supporting their success. But also want to just thank the board. Our board sometimes gets overlooked for the thankless job. I mean, they get paid a lot to do that job, and that is $0. And so for them to be alongside us as we move through the crisis has been a very important part of our success over the last 18 months. So what I'd like to do now is I want to show you a video of what today and the future is going to look like for our students and how we have to be ready to prepare for this reality that is unfolding before us.
Accidents that could mean an amputation can now be prevented by technology that most would only dream of.
A 3D printer that can rebuild bone. It is already being used, and in tonight's local original, I spoke to the Duke mechanical engineer behind it. A trauma patient who could lose their leg arrives in the emergency department.
Say the bone dies, or they put an autograft in, which is bone from some other location in your body, and that dies, then you would have to have an amputation.
But that can be avoided with 3D printers like this one. A CT scan and a call from the surgeon puts it to work using metals and polymers to reconnect shattered bone.
So what a titanium scaffold does that's porous is it supports that, it kind of bridges that gap and allows the bone to grow across the titanium, through the titanium to the other side of the bone.
Duke University professor of mechanical engineering Kenneth Gall leads the research. The final product takes a few weeks to complete, giving enough time to ensure the patient is free of infection.
To me, what's kind of exciting about this field is that 10 years ago, this wasn't possible. But today we're actually doing these clinically.
In the meantime, trials are underway for less severe injuries. Gall sees 3D printing as one day becoming the standard of care for many reconstructive surgeries.
Really gravitated towards this biomedical space because you could really see the impact on an individual person and then extend that into multiple people. So it's a really great feeling. And
I mean, that's fascinating.
It's incredible. And it's right here, at Duke.
Wow.
What they're doing, changing lives.
Yeah.
Well, as you can see, the future is unfolding right before us, and just so many amazing things are happening. But a lot of that happens because it goes through institutions like Pima Community College and on to great universities like that at the University of Arizona, and as the clip showed, Duke University. But it's us, right? And it's us preparing our students so they go on to have careers in these amazing opportunities of the 21st century. And as you've heard me talk many times before, the 4 superpowers are really what's enabling all of what you just saw on that video. So what I'd like to do is talk about the big shift that's underway across the globe, across our country, and right here in the state of Arizona and in Pima County specifically. So I want to go back in time first. So in 1898, the first ever International Urban Planning Conference was convened in New York City. And one of the biggest items of discussions that took up much of the conference discussion was around dung, horse manure. And why was that such a big deal? Because back then, the horse and buggy was one of the primary forms of transportation, and horses would leave mounds of manure that needed to be shoveled, and it put off, these gases and the odors, and it got in the way of people moving back and forth. And unfortunately, there was dead carcasses of horses laying around. So you can imagine that was a huge problem back in the day. But there was another thing that was happening back then, and that was the introduction of fossil fuels. Coal started to really come into play around 1880. And then the automobile, or the internal combustible engine, I should say, which when you marry the two together, you see this incredible transformation in our economy, leading to just incredible economic growth. So this energy solution, coupled with fossil fuels, coupled with the tremendous economic growth that happened, unfortunately led to wide disparities of wealth. And even prior to all of this, just the way that our country approached the treatment of African Americans, of Native Americans, and so many other communities of color continued to be exacerbated and persisted with the passage of Jim Crow laws, with the Chinese Exclusion Act, and so many other things during that period of time, leading all the way through, and some would argue still persists to this day and age. So we're at another moment of a big shift, and that's why I call it the Big Shift 2.0. Now the big shift is alternative energies, renewable energies that are going to provide energy solutions that are going to power a new level of transformation in transportation and many other areas and sectors of economy where electrification will become even more showcased than ever before. And as McKinsey Global talks about, an ACES world, an autonomous, connected, electrical, shared world. The question is going to be, will this next big shift be like the last big shift, where wide income disparities grew out of that? Communities of color is disproportionately impacted as a result of that. Many women, low-income communities impacted by the Big Shift 1.0. So the grand challenge before us now is, how do we manage the realities of these energy solutions in the face of climate change, and how we address diversity, equity, and inclusion. These two are not separate from one another. They are very much integrated together. And the question is, what are we going to do to address climate change and address issues of equity? And I think that's how, if we think about our work in that context, that will position us to be a leading institution if we start to bring positive solutions to these great grand challenges before us. And oh, by the way, that Big Shift 1.0 took a little over 50 years to completely move from that biomass world into that fossil fuel, internal combustible engine world. So how long this next shift is going to take is anyone's guess. But what is clear is that shift is already underway. And if you have any doubts about that, please visit our downtown campus. Go down to our beautiful new Automotive Innovation and Technology Center, and you'll get to see firsthand the big shift that's happening in that world, And I was so proud that the college yesterday got to host Climate Action Now. We had Representative Grijalva, Congressman Grijalva there. We had Senator Engel there, Representative Cano there. We had our faculty, Charlie McCabe there, and myself as part of a panel. So PIMA is in a position to help lead the way around climate. PIMA is in a position to help lead the way around diversity, equity, and inclusion. So what are some of the trends that we have to be mindful of as we start to face this big grand challenge as I've just outlined? So why don't you go ahead and move to the next slide, please? I forget I have to look up to see that you moved the slide, so thank you. So there are, I'm not going to talk about the 4 superpowers in this context at the moment, but I want to talk about 2 other things that other trends that we need to be very mindful about. And Dr. Gellman-Danley really touched on some of these pieces earlier. Well, there's a report called the Demographic Drought that EMSI released earlier this year. Also, there was a report that Strata also released talking about examining the value of non-degree credentials. And so let me just touch briefly on those things. And so when you think about the demographic challenge of our country, it didn't just happen this decade. You have to go back to its antecedents, and some would argue back to the 1970s, where you started to see a decline in fertility rates. And that has just advanced and become more and more exacerbated as we move forward to today. As you know, the census, U.S. Census just released its report this week, and no surprise, America is becoming more and more diverse. I'm using the federal definitions. The Hispanic numbers, our Asian numbers are increasing. Unfortunately, the white numbers for the first time have decreased in a long time. And so here's some realities that are unfolding before us, and then they talk about the shift in the African American populations and Native American populations as well. There's a reality there. So how does that reality start to impact us right here in the state of Arizona, and more specifically in Pima County? So I had a conversation recently with the county superintendent, Dustin Williams, about what's going on in our K-12. And he provided us with some important data. Did you know that Pima County has the highest dropout rate in all of the state of Arizona? That's right, the highest dropout rate out of the K-12 system in the state of Arizona. From last year to this year, they have 4,641 fewer students. Since 2015, Pima County has either had the lowest or the second lowest percentage of high school graduates in the state. These are real challenges for us, and we are feeling that challenge as it translates into our enrollments. And so, as Barbara highlighted earlier, that shift to that adult learner is going to be increasingly more important than ever. 70% of our student body is part-time. We are at a point where the age group 18 to 24 makes up about 56% of our student body. So you're seeing a great shift that more and more of our students are older than 24. And if we reduce that number closer to 18 or 19, we're clearly more on the adult learner side now than ever. And so are we ready to serve those adult learners? Do we have the programs to support them? Do we have the services? And I think that's going to be some of the great pivots we're going to have to make. So as we think about those adult learners, Strata has done a lot of work to understand what you might call it consumer insight, or you might refer to it as just getting learner insights about how they're looking at higher education. And so in one of their earlier surveys, what they found was when they asked folks. If you had $5,000 to invest in your education, how would you invest it? And if my memory serves me correct, the number one answer was to go to an online institution. Not the face-to-face, but online. And then as you probe that even further in their questioning, more and more folks are wanting the non-degree options, and they want shorter-term options. So that fits in line with this adult learner. They're working oftentimes, they're raising a family, they don't have time to come to courses at a set time in the morning or early afternoon. They need more flexibility, they need more convenience, and they certainly don't want to be sitting in a classroom for 16 weeks and beyond. And the data, I believe, is starting to show that very clearly. But here's another thing that I want to share, just a few other insights that come from the Strata report that I just mentioned. So they asked the question, or not the question, but percent agreeing with the following statement. My education made them an attractive job candidate. 70% of those who both had an associate degree and a non-degree credential said yes. So in other words, it's not associate's degree versus a non-degree credential. It's that when you combine the two, students really see the advantage of that. And then 43% of associate degree holders without a non-degree said yes. So you're already seeing, again, that shift through the data. Asking, going further, my education was worth the cost. 65% of the non-degree completers said yes. Only 59% of associate degree holders said yes. Percent agreeing with the following statement. My education was worth the cost. 78% of those with a non-degree credential from a community college said yes. Only 54% of those with a non-degree credential from a business or company. I think you're getting the idea, right? And those of you who get a chance that I get a chance to interact with, they hear me talk a lot about full spectrum thinking. And what full spectrum thinking is, it's not about thinking in the disjunctive. It's really thinking about and. It's not one versus the other. It's how do we as an institution of higher learning in Pima County as a community college, how do we make sure that we provide multiple modalities that provide opportunities for individuals in our community? And by doing that, that's going to impact positively on our enrollment. But that's one of the big shifts we're having to make as we move forward. So some of this is really reflected in the Chancellor's proposed goals. I say proposed because the board hasn't taken action on it. So I thought I would just touch a little bit on some of the proposed goals for this upcoming year. Obviously, enrollment is going to be a big part of the equation. And so we already have work underway being led by Dr. Irene Robles Lopez's group with David Ariano being key point, collaborating with Phil Burdick and the External Relations Group and so many others here. And so they've developed a short-term strategic enrollment management plan. We've already been executing on that plan. And certainly we're going to be sending out more information about the particulars on that as we go forward. And then they're also working on a longer range strategic enrollment management plan as we go forward. Also, I think another thing that we're going to have to keep in mind as we go forward is the reality that having access to course materials is a big barrier for many of our students. And it is an equity issue. And so that's why when the students went to the board a few years back and said, we'd like to convene an open educational resource task force, because this is a problem at our and by the way, this is a problem across all of our institutions across the country. And so that work was convened, and we've done great work in this area, but we still have a lot more great work to do in open educational resources. And I'm just so pleased that a few of our faculty put together a proposal, and it was submitted, and Pima was one of 66 institutions chosen by the American Association of Colleges and Universities to be part of the Institute on Open Educational Resources. So we are leading the way in this space, and I'm so proud to say that, but I also want us not to forget the larger context. This is about equity. It's about removing one of those key equity barriers for our students. And because of the work we've been doing, we have already saved over $6.5 million for our students. That's on average $2 million a year over the last few years. So we're doing great work as we speak. We're also going to be setting some aggressive equity goals. We've got to do better on the outcome side. And we really got to do better by our Hispanic, Latino populations, our Black and African American populations, and our American Indian, Native American populations. And so you're going to learn and hear more about this. This is an important part of our strategic plan going forward, and it's part of the emphasis in the Chancellor's goals. You're going to hear more conversations. Guided Pathways is another equity piece. And so we have done so much great work around guided pathways, but we also have a lot more work to do. It's not something that once you've done it, it's done. It's something that we constantly have to work to sharpen, to strengthen, to improve. And so you're going to see more work being focused here, led by Dr. Dolores Duran-Certa and her team as we go forward. And I'm so pleased to say, under the direction of Dr. Josie Milliken, that we have put an emphasis on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals around open pedagogy for faculty fellowship. And so PIMA is one of the few colleges and universities in our country that have really taken this seriously. And these Sustainable Development Goals really wrap into that larger climate challenge that I mentioned earlier, as well as into the social justice pieces that you hear me talk a lot about as well. So the whole addressing climate, addressing equity are essential aspects of these United Nations Sustainable Development Goals going forward. And your Pima Community College, we're on the forefront, we're leading the way, and I just want to thank Josie and the faculty who have been directly involved with that, and we're looking forward to involving more and more of faculty along the way, and hopefully that becomes a big shape and driver of what our future curriculum is going to look like here at Pima Community College. We're also continuing to do great work around the Centers of Excellence. And so I mentioned that new Automotive Innovation and Technology Center, and we have our new Advanced Manufacturing Center. Now, and let me comment on this, because I think to the point that Dr. Gellman-Danley was making about the Oedipus complex. And you would say, well, why would Pima build new buildings after hearing that statement? Well, let me say this. We're not just building a building to build a building. We're building it because we don't have the capacity currently in our existing space to drive the level of programming to meet the needs of the community. That's what's driving the addition. It's not just to add. And again, I highly encourage each and every one of you to go onto the downtown campus, walk into that automotive center. And if you ever had been into the previous building, they were in a space very cramped and very crowded, and things were on top of it, and it was all messy, it wasn't clean, and it did not look anything like what you would see when you go into industry, especially when you go into the dealerships. We now are providing that modern learning lab for our students and for our faculty to be able to teach in. And so that's what's driving the addition. And then if you think about the other facilities, we have in fact been remodeling existing space. We took our Center of Excellence for IT and Cybersecurity. We remodeled existing space at the East Campus. And if you haven't had a chance to go out there and see that, I highly encourage you to do that. It's a phenomenal center, and I'm just so proud of the work that has been done around that. You've heard us talk about our new allied health facilities. We're going to be remodeling 2 big spaces at the West Campus that are going to allow us to increase our capacity to serve the healthcare needs of this community. And by the way, as an employment sector, healthcare is the largest employment sector of our community. Also, we're renovating the science labs at the West Campus, and you're also going to see we're adding an addition to aviation, and that's because, again, there was a clear need in the community. We could not serve that need. More students want to be there. We can't accommodate them, and so we had to add that addition. And so these additions to the college are going to help impact our enrollments in a positive way and give new opportunities where they did not exist before. I already mentioned the SEMP program. We've been doing, under the leadership of the provost and president of campuses, Dr. David Doré, work around the breaking student barriers piece. We're going to be adding new courses in African American studies and Asian American studies for this fall. We're really trying to do more to attract a more diverse pool of candidates. You're going to see greater focus on doing that. We've held forums over the last 18 months led by Hilda, and so I'm so pleased that we are trying to make and continue to make a positive difference for our community. And so yesterday, a small group of us had the pleasure to go out and visit the new middle school that the Pasquiyaki tribe had purchased a few years back. We're looking in strengthening our partnership with them to do more programming out at their location. And so I'm just so proud of that, and they were so pleased about the partnership that we have with them. As you're seeing, we have already have incorporated an important part of our events now. We will do formal land acknowledgments of our Tohono O'odham and Pasquiyaki nations and tribes here in our community, and we need to continue to do better and more for our disabled community, our LGBTQ community, and well beyond that. So a lot of great work going on in the DEI space. Let's switch to the next slide. And I'm only giving you highlights, so I can't touch on every aspect of our plans. But in terms of college-wide operations, I just want to talk about these 4 pieces very briefly. So you've probably heard the work that's going on around the Biden administration, Build Back Better. And so you have the infrastructure bill, the physical infrastructure bill, and then you have the human infrastructure bill. In the human infrastructure bill, there are some key components there. There is a workforce component as well as free community college pieces. So your Pima Community College, we are advocating to get both those pieces passed and expanded. It will help us tremendously. But I will caution, a little caution, especially on the free community college. Arizona may be the only state in the union that does not provide state support to students. This could become a problem for our state's ability to participate in a free community college legislation. So we are working with Senator Sinema, Senator Kelly, with our representatives Grijalva, Kirkpatrick, and others, to make sure that Arizona can participate, that there's more flexibility. In our state, what we're arguing for, that flexibility should be allowed to happen at the local level through our own local investments. And so stay tuned, but I just want you to know that at present, because of the lack of support from the state, this could be a problem for us in terms of our ability to participate. Stay tuned as we go forward. We were very excited this past session. We have been pushing for a few sessions to get a change in the dual enrollment law. And now I'm pleased to announce that our persistence has paid off, that dual enrollment is being opened completely beginning in 9th grade. Used to be capped at 25% at 9th grade and 10th grade, and then you could fully participate 11th and 12th grade. Now it's completely opened up. Our dual enrollment program has been growing leaps and bounds under the leadership of James Palacios. We're so excited about that, and this is going to open up even more. I really believe every high school student, if he or she wants, should be able to graduate with an associate's degree, their high school diploma, and one industry-recognized credential. This starts to open up that possibility for our students in the community. We must increase the college-going rate of students here in Pima County and across the state of Arizona. I believe the college-going rate in the state of Arizona is below 50%. I mean, this is not a positive thing for our state and for our community. We are finalizing our education and facilities master plan. It's already been taken to the board, and so I'm so pleased that this is just going back and looking at where we were and looking at what we need to do, and as we focus. And this master plan has been built with diversity, equity, inclusion in mind, and with the notion of really addressing now the climate change challenges before us. Work-based learning is a growing part of what we're going to be doing here in this community. And I'm proud to say we were the first college to be a registered apprentice sponsor, but we're going to not just be focused on that. We also want to create other work-based learning opportunities, whether they're on-the-job training programs, internships, but the more we can incorporate that practical experience piece with the classroom experience, I think the better our students are going to be in terms of their ability to really chart a positive future for themselves and for their families. Let me go to the next slide, financial sustainability. Even though that is one of the elements in the Chancellor's goals, I want to pull it out and highlight it more specifically. The good news. Even going into the pandemic, we were in a very strong financial position. Coming out of the pandemic, we're even in a stronger financial position. So that's the good news. And Moody's just recently assigned the college a AA2 credit rating, which verifies our strong financial position. But you can't rest on our laurels. We have to ever be vigilant. And we have to realize that the pandemic has had an unfortunate impact primarily on our enrollments. Enrollment declines obviously last fall, and we continue to experience enrollment declines going into this fall. And we must address the reality and adjust accordingly. Fortunately, thanks to investments from the federal government through the CARES Act, it helped address our tuition losses of last year, and certainly we're going to have tuition losses probably close to what we experienced last year, which was probably in the neighborhood of about $10 million. Yes, it helped, and thank you all who were part of helping us get Prop 481 passed. But remember, Prop 481 was not new money to the college. That's an important piece to keep in mind. It was not new money. What it allowed us to do is to use existing dollars that the college collects through local property tax revenue to be used for operational purposes. So that is the largest part of our revenue stream, but we're also dependent on tuition and fees as another part of our revenue stream, and that is being stretched. So now we're losing this over here, but we gain back flexibility on the other end thanks to Prop 481. If we didn't pass Prop 481, I'd hate to imagine what the reality would be right now. So it keeps us in a great financial position, but we have to continue to pay attention, continue to manage the reality. So what you're going to see in this upcoming budget is we need to be addressing this tuition revenue decline. Right now we're sitting on about 100 vacant positions, some of which we plan to fill, but we may have to revisit how many of those positions we can really fill. I know it's hard already. We've been sitting on positions and many of you are experiencing that overwork. But what's the alternative? The alternative, yes, we fill them and we have to turn around and lay people off. That's the last thing I want to be doing. I think it would be cruel to bring in new people into the organization and turn around and then have to say to them, I have to let you go. It is better that we manage with just filling them interim, temporary, or if we know we must have this position permanent, obviously we're going to make a commitment to that, and then we're not going to, impact that individual. But the more we can keep positions vacant, the more it allows us to have that cushion against this changing reality. Also now we, as conditions are improving on the ground in some ways, from an economic standpoint, we have to start revisiting some other areas of opportunities around revenue. And so just keep all of those in mind. And I think more importantly for each and every one of us, we all have to start thinking of ourselves as marketers, as enrollment managers. Every time you're out in the community, you have an opportunity to attract a student or build a positive image of Pima Community College. So keep that in mind. We have a choice, and that choice is we can help folks continue to believe in the promise of Pima, and by talking about the great successes that we have here. And we really encourage you to come to Pima. I know when I talk to people, whether I'm in the grocery store line or at the convenience store, I ask them questions about are they going to school? Have they been to school? Are they connected to Pima? And I've gotten phone numbers from that, and I've turned those phone numbers over. I hope each and every one of you are doing the same. And I just encourage us to keep that in mind. Also, it's not the sole responsibility of the outreach team to do recruitment. It's all of our responsibilities to do recruitment. And then the other side of this is the retention. There should be no doubt that each and every one of us plays a role in retention. And if we're going to help ourselves significantly, especially in the near term, if we go that extra step to make sure we keep our existing students, that will go a long ways to help us with our enrollment challenges, especially as those demographic numbers are shifting. We can't control the demographic shifts, but what we can control is who we have with us now, and so let's continue to provide that outstanding service that we all have been doing and we're known for. Also, what's also going to be key to financial sustainability has always been key, but private-public partnerships are going to increase in significance, increase in importance, not decrease. We should not shy away from continuing to build important partnerships, whether it's with business and industry, whether it's with community-based organizations or other community groups. Partnerships are going to be ever essential. We cannot go this road alone any longer. And so the folks on the career technical education side, they are very used to building these partnerships. That's the lifeblood of their programs. We need to do the same thing on our liberal arts side. It's going to become equally as important as we go forward. I really want us to think about the entire college as a center of excellence. I would love to see all of our divisions become centers of excellence. And to be a center of excellence, one of the key parts of that is these partnerships. And then through those partnerships, we build advisory committees, so we're getting feedback and perspectives from the community as in terms of our relevancy and our currency, et cetera, for our programs, our courses, our services. So again, this is going to be ever important as we go forward, not less important. And let me just say something, go back a moment. Micro pathways, non-degree programs, credit versus non-credit, all of that is going to increase in significance and importance. We are presently involved in a pilot initiative through the Community College Growth Engine Fund to launch micro pathways. A number of you have been involved in that effort, and we're going to be rolling these out in the very near future. In fact, I believe we're going to launch the first set of micro pathways next month. We're positioning now to begin marketing those micro pathways. And so this is a huge shift. And again, this is another one of those on-ramps for our students. And yes, they are shorter term, but they stack to the larger 1 year and degree programs. So let's not think of them as something siloed, separate, and apart. What you're hearing us talk more and more about is a universal design around our curriculum, a multimodal approaches to the curriculum. And I think as we're doing that, Pima is being seen as a leader, an innovative leader. This is innovative talk that I'm sharing with you today, and I'm so pleased that it's getting attention across the country. People are paying attention to what we're doing to see how successful this can be. And so thank you to all of you who have been involved in helping to pull together the micro pathways. And Dr. Ian Rourke has been leading point on that effort for us, but many others have been involved. We're also involved with a project with Bank of America, and it's an exciting project, and a lot of that focus is around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it's being led by our provost, Dr. Dolores Duran-Cerda, and I'm just so pleased. I was just on the phone call with Bank of America earlier this week, and they're so pleased with the work that Pima is doing to really address the needs of our Black and brown, low income, and women in our community, to get them into better pathways that are going to lead to sustainable family living wages. And that's the emphasis. And by the way, we are part of a 21 nationwide college effort as part of that Bank of America. And we are the only community college in the state of Arizona that's participating in that effort. And in both cases with CCGEF and the Bank of America, we're really, as a community college, we're punching above our weight class, meaning we're in a mid-market here in Tucson, but we are being chosen for things that folks who would normally go to the Seattles or to the Maricopas, to the Dallases, you get the idea, right? Pima is now getting opportunities that would not have come our way in the past. And that's because of the great innovative work each and every one of us are doing to really help shape that future that is unfolding as we go forward. Let me just say a few words about COVID. All of you saw recently the decision ultimately that I had to make about requiring masks. But let me talk about why. And it's much bigger than the mask. When this pandemic was first unfolding, you heard me and the board say that we're putting the health and safety of our employees, of our students in our communities first. But alongside of that, we're going to continue to serve and meet the needs of our students. And so we're weighing and balancing all of these at all times. And yes, a lot has changed now. There's a vaccine, and from all indications, it's life-saving. But not all of us have chosen to get vaccinated. And I highly encourage those of you who have not to go and get vaccinated. It is life-saving. I have gotten that vaccination. It has made a difference for me. And many others that I know, it has made a difference. But also wearing that mask, especially in indoor settings where you can't socially distance, becomes important that you wear that mask. And so I'm asking you, I'm requiring you, all of us, to wear the mask when we're indoors and we can't social distance. Now, this was not an easy decision. It's a very, very difficult decision. But as I looked at this decision, I know there's a lot of folks who support the decision, but I also know there are a number of folks who do not support the decision. But when you look at what's going on in our county, and I look at case rates, I look at hospitalization rates, look at deaths, look at test positivities, you look at those risk factors, right? Our case rates are up 91% over the last 14 days. Our hospitalization rates are up. This is Pima County data, by the way, as reported by the New York Times, 67% up in hospitalization. Our deaths over the last week have been 9. Our test positivity rate over the last 14 weeks have been 8%, and all of these things are going up. And so I had to weigh all of that. And then I also looked at, yes, you consider the risk factors. You also have to understand the political implications of decisions we make. We have to understand the life and death impacts of what we make, the health, the directions coming out of the CDC, the Arizona Department of Health, and our local Pima County Health. And I took all of that. And then I heard the voices of different folks from the college as it was being funneled through our leadership, listening to the voices of our pandemic advisory group, and also who else in the state is moving in this direction. And so when you weighed all of that out, as ASU, as NAU, and as the U of A announced just the other day that they're going to require masks, that it made sense for Pima to also make that same commitment. Now you have TUSD, now you have U of A, now you have Pima Community College. When you have 3 of the biggest organizations in our community, along with the city of Tucson, and that's another big organization, now we can make an impact in the community. Pima by itself, that's more difficult. But when you line us up all together, we can make a big impact on those numbers that I shared. And then when you think about, you look up north and seeing what ASU has done, and of course Maricopa announced shortly after we announced yesterday, and then I heard just this morning that Arizona Western has also announced that it's important to me personally and professionally that we balance the lives of our colleagues, of our students in this. It's not going to be easy. I know enforcing this is not going to be easy. I've tasked the provost and the president of campuses to come up with a plan. And so that's why we are not launching these requirements until we get to Monday for employees and for students when the first day of classes comes. So it gives us time to put in place how we're going to manage that. I know Dolores has reached out to the provost at the University of Arizona to look at their approach to the enforcement side. I don't want faculty to feel like they have to be the one enforcing this in the classroom. Don't want to see what's happened in other parts of our country on airplanes and on the streets where fights break out. I don't want to see that happen. At the end of the day, I just ask that we all respect each other, that we keep in mind kindness. We're all in this together. And let's not lose sight of that, our humanity. Put aside our political beliefs about the vaccine, put aside our values and beliefs about masking, but let's just think about us as human beings. And we know the science is clear. I know not everyone agrees with the science, but the science is clear. Vaccinations work. Masking works. So thank you for listening to me on this, and we're going to be paying attention as things shift. We will shift. What I see happening in the world is I don't think what's going to happen in the U.S., especially now that over 50% of us have been vaccinated, that we're going to go back to a place where operations are completely closed or completely suspended. I think you might see scaled back parts of an operation, but I don't think you're going to see, physical doors being closed like they were as we went into the pandemic. And so let's keep that in mind. So that's why we created a more transition plan, more of this hyper work plan. I want to allow employees more flexibility to work remotely as well as coming in, but that's not going to play fair evenly. And I'm sorry, we're all in different roles at the college, and those roles dictate whether we need to be present or not. And let's keep in mind, and a big shout out to our facilities folks. They have been on the ground from day one. They never left the face-to-face world from day one. That was true of our police officers. There was true of other offices of the college. Our IT people had to come in. Our payroll people had to come in. So we've had people coming in throughout the entire pandemic. And then our faculty on the CTE side stepped up the summer of 2020. They were on site providing an educational experience for our students. So we were never closed as a college to the public. We had scaled back services to the public, but we were never closed. And I tell the leadership team is like, we're not reopening. We are just providing more services as things are shifting in this ever-evolving environment. So I want us not to lose sight of that as well. And we're going to do our best, and we're going to monitor things, but I'm always keeping that health and safety as that North Star as we're going through this. And as Dr. Gellman-Danley talked about, crisis and leadership. And I think, we owe our executive leadership team so much thanks, because we were crisis and leader. We were leading the crisis. And I'm so proud of each and every one of them. Nobody panicked. Everyone remained calm. Many of us have been through training, and so we knew how to lean into this. And then we worked with many of you. We created the Pandemic Advisory Group. My hat's off to those folks on that group, and many others. And so we're in good hands here at Pima, and the board has been exceptional in their support as we move through this. And just as all of you may not be aware, when we went back to March, and the way our board governance model is set up is the board lays out what I have authority over and then what authority they retain. They give me quite a bit of authority, and they've done that in this area of safety. So it's in the board bylaws that I have the responsibility to make sure of safety and health and wellness of our Pima community. And then they reaffirmed that through a board resolution, I believe it was in April of 2020, just to reiterate that. But I never make a decision in isolation. I've laid out some of the pieces. I always consult with the board chair, because that's also part of how our governance model is structured. And I talk to the ELT. I get the direction that many of them are part of the Pandemic Advisory Group. So we're constantly seeking input and perspectives. Thank you so much, everybody. It's been an incredible year, but we're leading the way, and I'm confident that Pima is going to come back stronger than ever. And so let me go to the last slide. And I think this really says it all, and it comes back to the grand challenge. Climate change is the single largest imperative we must face. And I want to make sure that our curriculum reflects that we do more to build awareness of climate change. And I was surprised yesterday when Charlie made the following comment. I'll say it here shortly. But I said to Charlie afterwards, when I reflect back on my K-12 experience, we didn't talk about climate change. And then he said, guess what? They still don't. And there's a lot of young people who just aren't aware of this reality. And so we as Pima, we're in a position to do something about that. We can build that awareness. We need to build that sense of urgency. And as we're doing that, as I mentioned, the other part of the grand challenge is we have to close the equity gaps. And if we do those two things, we will play and fulfill our mission to this community. So thank you all, and I look forward to a great year, and I look forward to seeing many of you as I start coming back and making my rounds around the campuses and other college facilities. Dolores, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much, Chancellor, for your vision and for Pima's roadmap for the future. I'd like to thank our special guests for joining us today and for them giving us a lot to think about as we move forward through the academic year. It's been a great morning. I hope you learned a lot. The words from our guests today were motivating, inspiring, and insightful. We heard from Dr. Gellman-Danley, who spoke about the HLC's future trends and strategic directions for higher education. She talked about evolve. Let's remember to keep evolve in our work. Equity, vision, outcomes, leadership, value, engagement. With the pandemic, there was a sudden shift in higher education and in the economy, and the social unrest burst to the forefront as well. The pandemic was an accelerant for change for many industries, such as in healthcare and higher education. In fact, the most disrupted industry was higher education, but in a good way. It forced needed change for the benefit of our students and for their future as we address the equity agenda. This morning, the Chancellor showcased how change, the pandemic-era advancements, are helping us to innovate and serve tomorrow's students and their needs by empowering every learner, every day, for every goal. The Chancellor's goals for the upcoming academic year provide us with a roadmap on how we can practice the Big Shift 2.0 in academics, in the Centers of Excellence and Student Support, in college-wide operations too. So we all have an obligation, a responsibility to educate, guide, and support our learners of the future and what awaits them and their families and our community. Pima has a great opportunity to take advantage of the pandemic crisis and social unrest, to adapt our culture, to reconstruct teaching and learning, to reflect the need for societal changes that will impact equity and social mobility in our community and in Southern Arizona. We will accomplish Pima's roadmap with innovation, resilience, care, dignity, gratitude, and with the goal to empower all of our learners, their families, and community. Everything we do is for our students. Students, students, students. Last spring, Dr. Gellman-Danley said in the virtual HLC conference in her closing remarks the following: resilience is not about bouncing back. It's about bouncing beyond. This is how we empower together and how we empower each other. I'd like to share an African proverb with you. It goes like this: if you go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Let's keep this in mind. Let's keep this in our hearts as we go back to work at our sites this afternoon, as we interact with our students, and as we interact with each other. For some of you, you may go back to your normal work schedule. Some have a lunch break and then will return virtually at 1 o'clock for either the faculty or staff session. Adjunct faculty, your next virtual meeting is scheduled for Friday, September 3rd at 10 a.m. More information pertaining to the meeting is detailed in the program. Also, please take a look at the slide for your afternoon activities. Before we go, I'd like to personally thank you. This past year and a half has been a unique situation for all of us. You have been resilient and patient in a very fluid situation, and that continues to be fluid. Some of you have been taking care of kids and playing a bigger role in their academics as they have been learning at home. Some of you have been taking care of parents and pets, and some of you have been doing all of the above while continuing to provide outstanding work for the college and our students and keeping the doors open. We can't thank you enough. We are grateful for you. Today has been a pleasure being your Master of Ceremonies. I'd like to leave this morning's activities with a video of sincere appreciation from some of our administrators. Wishing all of you a safe, healthy, and happy new school year. Thank you. Muchas gracias. Keep striving for our students.
Welcome to another school year.
For the past 17 months,
COVID pushed us to find new ways
to serve our students and work with each other.
And you rose to the challenge.
You innovated.
Now we are back on campus.
And we're ready to serve our students and our community.
You helped make this happen.
Thank you for working hard.
Thank you for persevering.
Thank you for empowering every learner, every day. Thank you.
Keep striving.